Hello creators, thank you for joining me, and welcome to the art part with Miss Colleen. Today we are going to be beginning our exploration into the art element known as color. The materials we're going to need today are a piece of paper, a pencil, and our box of colored crayons. We're going to be exploring this new art element by creating a color wheel, learning about primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. I'm going to have my paper be portrait, and the way that I'm going to lay it out, it'll probably be easiest if you use portrait as well, meaning vertical up and down, not landscape horizontal. Vertical up and down portrait paper. We are going to start creating our color wheel with our primary colors. Now, primary colors we have are the colors that cannot be created by mixing any other colors together. So we have red, yellow, and blue. No two colors can mix to create any of these colors. You can't mix colors to create red, can't mix colors to create yellow, can't mix colors to create blue. They are our primary colors. So we're going to start our color wheel. Let's start by putting a nice red spot, red space, red shape, any kind of red. Put a little bit of red right in the middle, sort of towards the middle top of our paper. Just gonna put one right there. I'm gonna make mine circles. You can do circles if you like, or just blobs of color. Doesn't really matter what shape they are, but make a nice, solid, bold red space right there. This is our first primary color. Next, we're going to create a little bit of a triangle coming down from the red. We're not going to draw the sides of the triangle, just we're going to place our other two primary colors coming down. Like I'll put my yellow right about here. Off to the side. Right about here. Make a nice yellow space. Nice bold blob of yellow. And our last primary color is our blue. I'm going to make a blue space over on this side, sort of even with my yellow there, coming down to make a triangle from the red and the yellow. Put my blue color right here. Nice and bold, solid blue color there. And there is the beginnings of my color wheel. We have my primary colors there. So what I'm going to do, I'll take my pencil and I'm going to make a few lists towards the bottom of my paper down here. Not all the way at the bottom, but just right here where I can see them, of my primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Now, a tertiary list is going to get a little bit long, so again, don't put your list right at the bottom, but maybe right under, leave a little bit of space, and then we'll start our lists right here. So I'm going to write primary on my left side, and that's P-R-I-M-A-R-Y. Primary. And underneath I will write what my primary colors are, and I think I'll write them in their colors that they are. So my primary colors are red. Get my yellow crayon, write yellow. And blue. And that's how I will remember my primary colors. Now, when our wheel is all complete, there's going to be a lot of colors all around this circle. So I'm going to label each of these with a little letter P so that I can remember these are my primary colors. Just right next to that blob of color. Anywhere you want. Here we have our primary colors. I'm going to put these back in my crayon box. I like to keep mine in rainbow order just so I always know where to find everything. Your color box may look completely different from mine. Maybe you have them all mixed up, or maybe you have them in a different kind of order. That is all up to you, of course. It's your box. Next, we are going to go to our secondary colors. Secondary colors on our color wheel are the colors that are created when we mix our primary colors. For example, our first secondary color that we're going to add to our color wheel is what we get when we mix red and yellow. The primary color of red and the primary color of yellow mix to create the secondary color of orange. I'm going to get my orange crayon, and somewhere between my red and my yellow, not directly between because we're not making a triangle, we're going to make a circle between there but a little bit out so that I'm going to start making my circle. I'm going to put a nice, solid, bold blob spot shape of orange. There's my orange. And I think I'll put that right over here. Next, our next two primary colors are what we have. We have our primary color of yellow and our primary color of blue. And when we mix those together, the color in between is our secondary color, green. Because when we mix blue and yellow, we get our green. So in between and a little bit outside, I'm going to add a nice, big, bold spot of green. There we go. Put that to the side. Our last secondary color, when we mix our primary color of blue and our primary color of red, the color that we get in between there is purple. Or on my crayon it says violet, parentheses purple. Either of those names is acceptable for that color. I'm going to call it purple most of the time, but I might call it violet a couple of times too. So in between my red and my blue on my color wheel and a little bit outside to make that circle, I'm going to make a nice, bold spot of purple. Nice and big. Nice and solid. And those are my three secondary colors. They are the colors that are created when we mix our primary colors. So I'm going to take my pencil, start a second list down here. That is secondary. And underneath, I'm going to take my secondary colors and just write them in. So we have orange, and we have green, and we have purple or violet. There we go. We have our list of primary colors and our list of secondary colors. I'm going to go ahead and put my secondary colors back in my box. Now, also I'm going to label my secondary colors just like I labeled my primary colors with a nice little S just somewhere nearby so that I remember those are my secondary colors. Now we move on to our tertiary colors. I'm going to go ahead and write that word down so you can see how it's spelled as I say it out loud. Tertiary, T-E-R-T-I-A-R-Y. Tertiary, and that means third. So primary, our primary colors, primary means first, secondary of course means second, tertiary means third, our third level of colors. These are the colors that are created when we combine primary colors with the secondary colors that are near them. So when we combine our red with our orange, we're going to create a color in between there. Just like when we combine our green with our blue, there is another color that comes between those two colors that's a combination of both. So we're going to start our tertiary. Now I have crayons for most of these tertiary colors. One of them I don't, and we're going to cross that bridge when we come to it. We are going to create that color together by mixing a little bit of our crayons together. But first, let's start with our tertiary colors. Let's start with the one that comes between red and orange. I actually happen to have a crayon in here that is called Red Orange, and it is a little bit oranger than this red and a little bit redder than this orange because it is the tertiary color that comes between red and orange. So a little bit between them and a little bit outside to make that circle. I'm going to make a nice, big, bold spot of red-orange. And I'm going to leave that out here. Next, we have a color that comes when we combine orange and yellow. When we combine orange and yellow, we get yellow-orange. So between those, a little bit outside, a nice, big, solid blob of yellow-orange. I'm going to put that to the side. So you can start to see how our color wheel is looking a little bit more, the transitions are a little bit more smooth, a little bit more complete because we are finding those tertiary colors, those in-between primary and secondary colors. Next, if we combine our primary color of yellow and our secondary color of green, we have yellow-green. So in between those, slightly outside, a nice big spot, a solid yellow-green. It's okay if your color wheel is a little bit messy, as long as you are placing things, in between so that you can see how the two colors combine to make the other colors. Remember, art doesn't have to be perfect. Put that one there. If we combine our green and our blue, I think you can get what comes next. We have blue-green. So in between, slightly outside, a nice big spot of our bold blue-green. There we go. Put that right over there. Now, in between our blue and our purple, I don't have a crayon that is blue-purple. And if you have the same box of crayons as me, then you probably don't either. So what I'm going to do, something that we can do when we're using colors, is to layer colors on top of each other. If you were using something like paint, you would be able to mix the two colors together. But since we're using crayons, we're going to use a layering effect to create that combination of blue and green. And you can do this with any two colors that you want, or more than two colors, when you are exploring color in your drawing. But to just try this out, I think I'm going to put down a very light, so not bold, not solid, but very light spot, barely touching the paper, of my blue crayon. Very, very light, not pressing down, just barely touching the paper. So we have that blue color there. And then I'm going to layer my purple very, very light on top of there. Very light, just barely touching. And we'll try to get a combination of those two colors. So this gives you a little bit of a taste of what you might like to try in your own drawing when you want a color, you want to combine two colors to create a color that you don't have in your box. You can see, and then if you want to do a little bit more blue, it's up to you, or a little bit more purple, totally up to you. And there we have, doesn't quite look like all the other colors, but it is sort of a suggestion of what a blue-purple might look like. So that's something that you can try. And then next we are going to combine our secondary color of purple with our primary color of red to create what I have is called red-violet. It's a little bit redder than the purple. It's a little bit purpler than the red. So we're just going to put it between, just outside, a nice big spot of our red-violet. Now we have a color wheel with our primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. So let's go through and label our tertiary colors with a little T, and then we will create our list. So our tertiary color of red-orange, our tertiary color of yellow-orange, our tertiary color of yellow-green, our tertiary color of green-blue, or is it called blue-green? I can't remember. We'll find out. Our tertiary color of blue-violet or blue-purple, and our tertiary color of red-violet. Next, we're going to put all of those on our tertiary color list, starting with red-orange. So go ahead, take a couple of minutes to write down all of our tertiary colors. And if you need to remember what they are, maybe you left your crayons out like I did, but maybe they got mixed up or you put them away, you can just look at the colors that are on either side. Find the T, look at the colors that are on either side. Oh, this is an orange-yellow. I'm going to call it yellow-orange, because I think that's usually what it's called. And I have my yellow-green. And my blue-green. And I think I do want to put this on my list, so I think I will write very lightly in blue. I'm going to write blue-violet. And then I will write in the purple over it, so it has that same sort of effect as that one. You can do that, or if you have a different idea of how you want to write that, that is up to you. This is your color wheel. And there's still little opportunities for making your own artistic choices. And lastly, I will write my red-violet. And there we have, I'm going to put these away. There we have our color wheel. Now we can get a sense of what colors combine to make new colors and where different tertiary colors come from. So from this, we can start learning about complementary colors and analogous colors and all sorts of those things, but we'll leave those for another week. I am going to write at the top of my paper, I'm going to write color wheel. I'm going to do it with my pencil. You could do it with your colors if you want. I'm just going to make it nice and big. Color wheel. So some of these colors, especially the tertiary colors, we can come up with different names for them. For most of these, we've just written what's on the crayon, which is usually just the combination of what we call the colors that combine to make them. So for example, blue-green, excuse me, or yellow-orange. But a lot of times we will come up with new names for these colors to describe sort of what they remind us of. For example, I might call this this yellow-orange color, I might call that marigold because it reminds me of a marigold flower. I might call this turquoise or aqua. I might call this one magenta. So we come up with all sorts of these different names for these colors, but once we start to look at the color wheel and we learn about primary, secondary, and tertiary colors, we can identify where those colors come from and how we can create them by mixing different primary and secondary colors. So I hope this was helpful for you to understand a little bit more about color, and I hope you remember to keep creating and keep sharing. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.